Teto girl is a new commonly coined word that refers to a woman with the tendency of testosterone. In English, this is more commonly referred to by the term tomboy. Hello everyone, happy Friday and welcome back to the show. I'm your host Shannon, and in today's episode of Personal Beauty, we're going to be talking about Teto-nyeo. Teto-nyeo. So if you guys aren't familiar with this phrase, somebody in the comment section has already gotten it. Teto girl is a new commonly coined word that refers to a woman with the tendency of testosterone. In English, this is more commonly referred to by the term tomboy. So we are going to be talking a little bit about like being a girly girl versus being a tomboy and kind of what that looks like in Korea. So before we go ahead and jump in, let's just go over some of the products that we have right here. So this one is actually my personal item. This is going to be my favorite cushion foundation. This is just one that I keep in my bag at all times, but I'm going to be using this as the base for my face today. I'm not currently wearing any makeup at all, so if I look a little bit more like dead than usual, that's probably why. But let me just go ahead and do this. So what is a tomboy? I think a lot of us could probably say that it's like Avril Lavigne circa 2000. It's like a little bit more grungy, big t-shirts, baggy pants, that kind of stuff. Not exactly the one who dresses up like princesses and wears dresses and stuff like that. In Korea, tomboy is more of a beauty standard when it comes to makeup, but also somewhat with your dress as well. So right now, I do already have a little bit of primer on my face. I'm just gonna try to cover up my dark under eye circle so it looks like I sleep. So like I said, with the cushion foundation, I'm just gonna start patting this in. With this one, I want you guys to remember that like less is more, especially when it comes to foundation product. We are gonna be layering a couple different things today. So you don't wanna have that sort of cakey foundation or that cakey base. So to avoid that, just make sure that you're blending really well, hitting just the areas that get a little bit more oily. For me, that would be the T-zone, so right in the middle of the face, and then I'll go over top my eyes, because I am going to be using some eyeshadow as well, so this is going to act as my little primer. Next, we're going to be talking a little bit about some eyeshadow. So the palette that I'm about to show you guys is a very typical palette that you'll see in Korea. If you guys go to your neighborhood Ulta or Sephora or your MAC store, a lot of times you're going to see really, really vibrant colors or very high pigment colors. In Korea, it's a lot more like this. So these types of colors are very neutral, and then you'll see a couple little glitter options on the top. This is a very typical sort of like daily wear palette that girls here would use. Whether they're more tomboy or whether they're more girly girl, it really is all in the application. So I'll get into that with you guys. For today, I'm going to be going for a little bit more of the tomboy look. You guys can ignore the shiny green jacket. It is going to be a little bit more of a tomboy look. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this sort of beigey color as a base. It's kind of like a bone, like white-ish color. And then I'm just going to use a couple of these little slightly more nude shadows just to darken the crease a little bit, give me a little bit more sort of shape and depth. But then I think I'm going to ignore the glitter for today, just because we are going for a little bit more of a muted tomboy look. So I can't do this with my fingers. I have attempted that in the past, but it doesn't really bode very well for me. So I'm actually going to grab this one. This is a mid-size base shadow brush. This one is number 17. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull this out. Okay, so this is a very typical shadow brush. You can see that this one's a little bit flat, but it is very, very soft. I'm gonna use this wider brush first as opposed to a packing brush because I wanna basically just shade the shadows on really, really evenly, and I'm not really trying to create a crease yet. So I'm gonna start with something like this. We're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna dip right into this bone shade right here on one side of the brush. Oh, wow. That picks up really nicely, look at that. One way that we're gonna do this to kind of find that tomboy look is just to darken the corners of my eye in a V shape. So basically, the V shape when we're talking about the eye is gonna be the little crease on the outside right here and into the lid line right there. So we're gonna create a little V on the outside corner. This is gonna give the illusion of a shadow. I think for today, I think neutral would be better, but I can tell you right now, this one is talking to me. This kind of like mauve shade is really, really pretty. But I do think it's a little bit dark for what I'm trying to achieve. I wanna go with something more neutral, just slightly darker, just so that we can kind of get that kind of everyday next girl or girl next door sort of look. So let's go ahead and just do this. So you guys can see, I'm just lining the inside of my crease, the crease that I already have in my eye, just a little bit. And I'm gonna go back in, and then I'm gonna pull it from the outside into my lash line like that. So without blending, you guys can see there's a little bit of like a V shape on this outside, and that's exactly what we want to do. We're just going to create a little bit of a darker shadow. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you. This is a liquid contour stick, and this one is dual purpose. So we have two options. So we have the contour side. I don't know if you guys can see that. The contour side's a little bit of like an ashy sort of brown. So I'll show you on the surface here. So if I rub that in, you can see it's kind of like just a very, very light, almost like taupey clay color. It's really pretty. And then on the other side here, this is our highlight. So we're going to take that on the opposite side. Highlight, of course, is for shine. This is going to give us a little bit of that shimmer. So this is, of course, for the low points and the high points of the face. You have to use these carefully because you will get that sort of super snatched, like 2016 heavy makeup look if you're not careful with these. However, they're a fantastic tool. I actually much prefer this to a blush, like powdery type of applicator. So this is going to be a lot easier to blend out. And to help me out with the blending, I do have a little beauty blender here. So these, I don't think I need to explain. These are, global at this point. But what I do want to explain is how to apply this in a way that looks a little bit more masculine versus feminine. So typically when you're doing the contour stick, you're going to try to find your cheekbone and go just above the hollow of your cheek here, and then pull it in about halfway and blend it really, really nicely. If you're going for a more masculine look, you can actually bring it all the way down here, making a little sort of like trapezoid type of shape right there. This is because men tend to have these more prominent jaw lines, right? And then also when they have the beard line here, it kind of sculpts the inner cheeks. So if you do want to go for a more masculine look, that's definitely something I would go for. This is a way that they do it a lot of times for high fashion models as well, to give them a little bit more of that gaunt, sort of sharp bone structure. Let's go ahead and try this. I'm just going to go in with the right side first because I have a little bit of light here. So there we go. I think that looks good. So you can see it just kind of shapes my face just a little bit. It's just kind of giving me a little bit of an extra shadow, a little bit extra shape, which I like. So before we wrap up the episode today, of course, I do want to do a little bit of a lip. So even the tomboys are not immune to a nice little lip plumper. So this is like spicy lip gloss for those of you guys that aren't sure. So I actually really like this color. You can see that if you go back to some previous episodes where we were talking about spring makeup, this one's a lot more like a sort of mauve-y kind of color. It's not really as pastel or bright pink as we're used to seeing with Korean makeup. I love that it's this sort of like peachy, just kind of more beige, a little bit darker. Really, really pretty. So let's go ahead and just put this on. Oh, I love that. Oh, that is so pretty. Oh, that's so spicy. It's already starting to burn a little bit. Oh, my eyes are watering. Whew. Okay, so my lips will be twice their size in about 5 minutes. So we'll have to cut the cameras before then, but that was definitely nice. I do like it. It does give you sort of that nice, like, blushy, alive, human type of look, which is good. I hope you guys give everything a try. And if you guys have any questions for me, make sure to shoot me a DM on Instagram. And of course, always like, subscribe, and follow the channel. Koreanet is amazing. It gives you guys a lot of exploration and room to question and just kind of have some adventure with Korean pop culture and things like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. I will see you guys next week at 6 o'clock. Bye!